That can answer a simple question that Muslims claim here all the time, that Jesus didn't die.
God bless you.
Yeah, God bless, God bless. It's a simple question. Did Jesus die? Why did the Quran, quite simply, why did the Quran take 600 years to say that Jesus didn't die? The Quran is a singular book. It's the one singular document on the planet, the only singular document that said that a historical man called Jesus didn't die. It's the only book. So my question is, and this came 600 years later, this is 600 years after the fact. So my simple question is, because what happens at Speaker's Corner is, you can talk about lots of different things, and me personally, I choose not to get engaged in Muhammad's morality, or how many wives he had, or how much prostitution contracts he carried out. I don't get involved in that. My one singular question is one based on the two faiths. Because if that statement, depending on whether that statement is true or false, will depend on whether the Christian faith is true or whether Islam is true. Did Jesus die or did he not die? And apart from the Bible, as I keep saying to Muslims, putting the Bible aside, the Quran, the history testifies that a man called Jesus of Nazareth died in Israel 2,000 years ago. The Quran is the only document that came along 600 years later and said he didn't. My question is why? Why does the Quran not have any evidence? Why cannot the Quran verify its claims outside of itself? When you ask Muslims these questions, they go to the Quran. That's self-defeating. I want you to show me some evidence outside of the claim of the Quran that the Quran is correct. There is none. The Quran stands alone as a singular document in history. So, what I'm saying is, this is the crux in between the Bible and the Christian faith. If, like the Quran says, Jesus didn't die, then the Christian faith is wrong. However, if Jesus did die, as the Bible claims, and as history testifies, then the Quran is a lie. It makes Allah a liar, because Allah said this according to Muslims. It makes Muhammad a false prophet, and it makes the Quran a false book. And no Muslim can answer the question. So I'll pose the question again, and it's the only question I'm going to ask. I'm not going to get involved in all that other stuff, because it's the one singular question they can't answer. Why did it take 600 years? And why is the Quran the only document that's claiming this? Show me another document outside of the Quran, so we can put aside the Bible, and we can put aside the Quran, and we can look at history, and we can see what history says about the crucifixion. And it does not support Islam. It does not support the Quran, and it does not support Allah. So Islam is a lie. So it's answer my question. So what they did as a result, one guy said I'm a 4-feet African, he was a Muslim, but that's alright, he was behaving like his prophet, because Muhammad is their best example. So when you see the Muslims behaving like this, they're behaving like their best example. A guy that killed 600 to 800 Jews in 1 year, that's their best example. A guy that married a little girl at 6 years old and raped her at 9, that's their best example. So yeah, so what they're doing here is not, yes, he did, because a 9-year-old having sex with a 9-year-old is rape, my friend. That's what we call it today. It's rape. Yeah. So that's their best example. That's their best example. Muhammad is their best example. So this behavior, as a matter of fact, my friend keeps saying this is not even real Islam. These people here are not really Muslims. What they're interested in is the deen. Because if they were really Muslims, I would actually be dead. So the day they start practicing real Islam, we'll be slaughtered here in this park. Yeah, this is not real Islam. This is not real Islam. This is the because if you follow the Quran strictly, like ISIS are doing, yeah, and the Taliban, we will be dead. So at the moment, we have to be grateful that this is not real Islam. When real Islam starts being practiced, we'll start getting slaughtered.
Yeah. Well, I'm not being funny, but if you think about how many Muslims there are in this country, if we are so-called, you know, as bad as you say, you'd have all been dead a long time ago.
That's what I'm saying. You're agreeing with me. You're agreeing with me. So I'm saying you're not really practicing real Islam.
You're saying we're not practicing Islam.
No, not really.
No, you're not. Islam. The people who are doing what they're doing are not practicing.
No, that's what they say about you. They would say that about you. That's the problem. ISIS would say that you're not really a Muslim. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because when I became Muslim, I was a Christian. When I became Muslim, what made me come to Islam is the fact that, you know, we are supposed to love each other. When one of my Jewish clients asked me something, I said, you know what? In war, you're not allowed to kill women and children. You're not even allowed to fight somebody who's not fighting you. So I can't come up to you and kill you. So then people who put a bomb on the bus or kill innocent people are not following Islam.
So can I ask you a question?
Okay, they're not following Islam.
Can I ask you a question?
I'm not a scholar, so don't ask me something.
No, it's just a simple question.
But I know that as a Muslim, I'm not allowed to go around killing people. Yeah?
So what did Muhammad do?
He didn't go around killing people unless, you know, if you are, do you know what they say? Oppression is worse than death. So if someone's oppressing you, then yes, you go to war. But even then, you do not kill somebody who's not coming to fight.
So let me ask a question then. So when Muhammad killed 600 to 800 years, 600 to 800 Jews, as certain tradition tells us, in one day, what did they do to him?
But maybe there was a war. If it's in a war situation, that's different.
Was it a war?
But what I'm saying to you is I'm not a scholar, so I can't answer that. But I know, for me, following the religion, from what I know,
no, I'm not questioning you. I'm sure you're a very decent person.
I'm not allowed to do
but sis, that's not the point. You being a decent Muslim.
When you say we're all going to be dead in
Muslims,
this country,
Muslims can't keep using that. If you really are a decent person, and lots of Muslims are a decent person, that does not change what Islam is. That's the point you're missing.
When you think about the amount of people Christians
can I respond? Can I respond? No, but the difference is the Jesus that you say you believe in, who Christians are following, didn't tell us to kill anyone. That's not the case with Muhammad. Where did Muhammad say love your enemies? Where did Muhammad? Hold on. No, he didn't. Show me some now. Where did Muhammad? Not one.
We have.
Can I finish? Can I finish my statement? Can I finish my statement?
We weren't told to just have. We've got Quran.
Okay, can you show me a statement? Show me a statement where Muhammad said love your enemies. Where did Muhammad say love your enemies? Where did Muhammad say put away your sword? Where did Muhammad love the Jews? Where did he love the Christians? There's no evidence of this.
You know, with all of this,
what happens
is
today?
Really strange is that in this world, the amount of people who are being killed is actually mostly Christians doing the killing.
Yeah, so you're avoiding my question by just doing a counter-attack.
Right, okay. No, I'm not avoiding it. Right, okay. I'm not a scholar. I'm not going to answer you.
It's not about being a scholar. It's not being about being a scholar. You've taken on the faith and you're not a scholar. So if you need to be a scholar to take on a faith, you should be a scholar first before you take on a faith. Right, okay. So back to my question. Back to my question, because Muslims do this all the time. Muslims do. What's a scholar?
Somebody who's very knowledgeable about every inch of their Quran or their Bible.
No, nobody's knowledgeable about every inch of anything. Nobody, not really. Or they would answer this simple question. They would answer this simple question. And the Zakir Naiks and the Jamal Badawis and the Bailal Phillips, these are the scholars, and they're not answering this question. Muslims today, are there any Muslim scholars today? On the planet. Why are they not answering this question? Why are they not bringing forth proof to confirm Surah 4157 as to whether or not Jesus died, a man called Jesus died historically? But there's no evidence. If they're so scholarly, why haven't they gathered the information to confirm this verse historically? They haven't. But let me go back to my question, because this is what people always do. I'm not talking about whether you're decent or not. That doesn't change Islam. You may be a decent person. That doesn't make Islam decent. That's my question. You may be a decent person involved in a filthy religion. I could be a decent person involved in a filthy religion. I'm not talking about the individual. I'm talking about Islam. I'm not talking about Muslims. I'm talking about Islam. Islam is a political, dangerous ideology. There are lots of decent Muslims, men and women. I'm talking about Islam. Islam is filthy. It is rotten to the core. And Muslims are actually victims of this thing. So when you say you're a decent person, I know you don't have to be the victim, but it's just like being sick and not feeling sick and going to the doctor and finding out that you are sick. You don't have to feel what actually is all the time. You know, that's what I'm saying. So I'm talking about Islam, and that's the Quran. When you look at the Quran, there's no love. Allah doesn't even love Muslims. There's no love of all Allah's attributes.
We must still be walking around here hating
Where's the attribute of love of Allah? He has 99 attributes and not one of them is love. Not one of them expresses love.
Well,
why is this?
Love.
Right. By who? Does Allah love you though? Does Allah love you? But why didn't he tell you he does?
I think he does.
But anyway, sis, my point is this.
Did Jesus tell you he loved you?
Yes, he did all over the place.
You heard him?
Yes, I did. I did hear him actually. I heard him when I read. Anyway, but my point is this. The reason why I use Surah 4157, because this is the crux of the faith. If Jesus didn't die, my faith is a lie. If Jesus did die, your faith is a lie. And I'm saying that there's nothing to confirm the claim of the Quran that Jesus didn't die. They killed him.
Is it possible that both of them could be a lie?
Sorry?
Absolutely. Is it possible that both of them could be a lie?
Absolutely.
That's the possibility that I'm going to stick with.
Right, okay. But you can't just say anything can be a possibility.
Anyway, I have to go.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. That's the beauty. Anything could be a possibility, but one has to look at the evidence. This is how it works. You have to look at what evidence is left of anything. If any area one is studying, if you start studying the Second World War, the First World War, you have to look at what people. It starts with what people said at the time. It not start with where we are today. What did people say at the time who lived through World War I or II, or anything, or the Holocaust, or anything, or slavery? What did people say at the time? Not 200 years later. Not some smart ass today sitting in New York saying that Jesus didn't die or this, that, and the other. Because that's what we have a lot. A lot of smart ass scholars today that knew nothing about the facts. You mean we have to look at the evidence at the time, and then you trace it. You mean that's what you got to do. And I'm saying when you do that, there's nothing to confirm Surah 4157. So my conclusion is, based on that, Islam is a lie. It makes Allah a liar because according to Muslims, it's Allah that did this. This starts with Allah, with his revelation to Muhammad. So if Allah is a liar and gave a revelation to Muhammad, that makes Muhammad end up being a false prophet. And what's produced from Allah giving Muhammad a revelation is Islam and the Quran. So that makes them all false. Starting with Allah is a liar. This is how you put it basically. Islam is a lie. Muhammad ends up being a false prophet. Yeah, and the Quran is a false book. That's my conclusion. That's why I keep asking this question. And I will continue to ask this question until they either answer it or chop my head off. Thank you. God bless.